Okay, let's continue our discussion on special types of functions. So here I have the definition for a rational function. A rational function is a function whose numerator and denominator are both polynomials. So for example, I have f of x equals, let's say, x squared plus 3x plus 1 divided by x squared plus 4x plus 4. So, polynomial yung numerator natin, polynomial din yung denominator. So, by themselves, the numerator and denominator are defined for any real numbers. Pero dahil itong denominator natin na polynomial ay hindi dapat maging 0, yung domain ngayon ng f natin will be the set of real numbers. Ngayon, aalisin natin kung ano man yung magpapa-0 sa denominator natin. So, kailan 0 ang x squared plus 4x plus 4. So, factor out natin to. This is just equal to x plus 2 quantity squared. So, therefore, 0 siya when x equals negative 2. So, therefore, the domain is R minus the element negative 2. Okay. So, in this example, walang common factors yung numerator and denominator natin. What if meron? What if meron silang common factors? So, halimbawa, ang function ko ay g of x equals, let's say, x squared plus 4x plus 4. And then, yung denominator ka ay x squared minus 4. Okay? We will see that this is equal to x plus 2 quantity squared over x plus 2 times x minus 2. Now, is this equal to the function which is given by x plus 2 over x minus 2? Okay. So, at first glance, it looks like they are the same. Since if we cancel x plus 2 in the numerator and x plus 2 in the denominator, ang makukuha natin ay x plus 2 over x minus 2. But they are not, they're actually not the same functions. So, anong pinagkaiba nila? So, the answer to this question is no. Kasi ito, we can evaluate this when x is equal to negative 2. When x is equal to negative 2, meron tayong negative 2 plus 2 over negative 2 minus 2. It's equal to 0. Pero defined pa rin siya. On the other hand, itong original function natin, hindi siya defined when x equals negative 2. Because when x equals negative 2, we will have negative 2 plus 2, which is 0. So, magiging 0 yung denominator. And in fact, if we look at the original version, which is not factored out, when x is equal to negative 2, x squared minus 4 is equal to 0. So, this function and this function are not the same. This function is not defined when x equals negative 2, but this function is defined when x equals negative 2. So, kung magkukompute tayo ng domain, hindi natin dapat i-cancel yung mga common factors. Kasi baka may number tayo na maisama dun sa domain. Okay. So, hindi natin dapat i-cancel yung common factors. So, ano ngayon ang domain? So, the domain of G will be all real numbers except for those that will make the denominator 0. So, yung denominator natin, 0 siya when x equals negative 2 and when x equals positive 2. So, be careful when manipulating rational functions. Now, we have another kind of function, the absolute value function. So an absolute value function is of the form f of x is equal to g of x, where g of x is some function. Okay, so the domain of the absolute value function is just the domain of whatever the domain of g is. Okay. Okay, so let's look at this example. I have a graph of g. Ito yung graph of g. So given g's graph is drawn below. So ito yung y equals g of x. Sketch the graph of f of x equals the absolute value of g of x. So gusto nating malaman ano yung effect ng absolute value dun sa graph ng function. Okay. Ang alam natin, wala siyang effect sa domain. Yung domain ng f is just the same as the domain of g. Wala siyang effect sa domain. Pero ano yung effect niya sa graph? Okay. So, ano nga uli yung ginagawa ng absolute value sa isang number? Kung meron akong positive number, yung absolute value niya is the same. Yung mismong number din na yun. Kung 0, yung absolute value ng 0, 0 din. Pero kung meron akong negative number, gagawin niyang positive yun. Absolute value of negative 4 is positive 4. So, ano yung implication niya ngayon dun sa graph ng f of x kung ang alam natin ay ito, yung graph ng g of x? Well, ang mangyayari, yung parts ng graph where the value of y is negative, saan yun? Ito. Okay, so ito, negative yung value ng y dyan. Ito rin, negative yung value ng y. So, lahat ng portion ng graph na nasa ilalim ng x-axis. So, dito, ilalim ng x-axis, yung value ng f of x natin, or yung y, the value of g of x rather, is less than 0. Ngayon, kung i-apply natin yung absolute value function, magiging positive ito. So, ang mangyayari, marereflect sila dun sa taas ng x-axis. So, ganito yung itsura ngayon nila. Itong part na to, marereflect siya, magiging ganyan. Then, itong part naman na to, marereflect siya, magiging siyang ganon. Okay. Ayan. So, itong blue na part na to, mirror image siya nitong naka-shaded na part na ito. Ito ring blue na to. Mirror image siya nito. So, I'm going to trace now the graph of f of x equals absolute value of g of x. So, ito siya ngayon. Maybe let me use a different color. Let me use pink. Okay. So, again, ito yung reflected na part. Ito rin. Ayan. So, for all the other portions, yung mga nasa taas ng x-axis, well, wala nang effect yung absolute value sa kanila. They will remain unchanged. Okay. So, yung parts na nasa taas ng x-axis, kukopihin ko lang. Okay. So, this, what is this color? Is this pink? This pink graph here is now the graph of the absolute value of g of x. So, this is y equals f of x.